Hey, y'all. Are we on? Are we on? Are we on? It said something was going on with the live. We're going to go live on, I want to share it too. We're going to go live on TikTok as well. Let me just go to Facebook. Y'all, I'm hot in here. I don't have a fan on because of the just going on Facebook right now, sharing it out. We're going to be talking about Think and Grow Rich right now. Think and Grow Rich. All right. Come on in. Going live on TikTok as well. Hey. All right, we're doing a countdown over on TikTok. Hey. TikTok, what's going on? Y'all see the book? Y'all see it? Thinking and Growing Rich over here. All right. Come on in. I'm sharing out the live on Facebook right now. We're live on YouTube as well. Just want to share this out to somebody right now. And if you like this subject and let's see, trying to share it live out now. Thinking and Growing Rich, let's go. We were on here. What? I think on the 9th or something like that. Yeah, July 9th. So I'm back. It's the 23rd. It is what it is. And all right, so I sent that out on TikTok. Hey. Come on in. We're going to be studying the book Think and Grow Rich. Let's go. We are in the midst of the chapter called Desire. I am sharing a live on Facebook right now. Okay. And I'll wait till. All right. Doing a little technical stuff, y'all. All right. So we are going over the book Think and Grow Rich. We're just sharing a live on Facebook right now. Going live there. We're live on YouTube and we're live on TikTok over here with you guys. All right. So hopefully this is good on Facebook because they had a little something going on. But we look like we're live. All right. So Thinking and Growing Rich. We are in chapter 2 called Desire. My name is Patti Dobrowolski. Thank you for being here. And we are starting on page 44. So that's a little message right there. So I want to read about that. I will interject as we're going through the book because that's what I do. And that's part of, why, I don't know, why you would maybe listen to somebody kind of going over and facilitating a book because you want to hear, some of their perspective, hopefully. If you like this subject, like up the live, share it out. If you think that Think and Grow Rich is something that can be important, it is important and an interesting topic or beneficial for someone. Last week, or the last time we were here, so that was on the 9th, we went over the 6 practical steps to acquire riches. Okay. So we'll just go over it really quick and then we'll just continue in the chapter and do our best to get through chapter 2. All right. So the first step in the practical steps to acquire riches is write down the exact amount of money that you desire to have. Okay. So my goal was $5,000 a month. I like to earn from my own business, right? I also have a weight gain goal. Yes, a weight gain goal. We'll see how, well, I can achieve that. I've been doing it a little bit because I changed the way I eat. I went low carb, and anybody knows anything about going low carb and stopping carbs, you drop a lot of weight. And if you look at any videos on carnivore or keto or anything like that, there are some people who drop more weight than they want to. And I was one of those people. So it's like I'm realizing I may not, it may not work for me to leave all the carbs, but maybe grain, I am grain free, no grains. But I may have to add a little bit of other things here and there, maybe potatoes or something like that to kind of have. So I have a weight gain goal, right? So that's on my thing here, but we can, whatever goal that you have, if it's money, if it's whatever, again, we're talking about Think and Growing Rich, but these practical steps in here, they apply to any, any desire, any goal that you have, whatever it is. All right. So the first step to acquire riches is to state the exact amount of money that you desire to have. There are a lot of people who their goals are vague, right? And they wonder why they don't achieve them. I mean, it's like if you want to ask somebody for something, oh, excuse me, sir, excuse me, ma'am, may I have, and they say, hey, Hunter, let's see, we got a few, hey, Cassie, everybody that's coming in, VVV, you got a lot of V, let's go. If you ask somebody for something and you get their attention, right? Like we get the universe's attention and we get God's attention, whatever it is. Well, they might be ready to give you what you ask for. But if you say, well, excuse me, sir, excuse me, ma'am, may I have, well, I don't really know. That's a no-brainer, right? How are you going to get it from the universe if you don't ask for something specifically? If you don't know what you desire, how are you going to get it? Right? So you need to be specific about your desires. If you're writing them down, you're writing down. A journal is, across the board when you search through any of these type of teachings and people who have manifested their riches, right? Their millionaire status or whatever their successful business or whatever it is. They have a journal, right? They state what their desires are, right? So what is your specific amount of money that you would like to earn in your business, right? Or at your job. You could like your job. You could want a better job, your raise. What is the amount? All right. The next step to the 6 practical steps to acquire riches that we're learning from Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill is number 2. What do you intend to give in return for the money that you desire? What are you going to give for this money, this exchange, right? This goal you have, whatever it is. It could be a health goal. Are you going to give up the foods or the habits that you have that are not, giving you the results that you desire? What are you going to give in exchange for the things that you ask for? Because you need to do that. That's what you need to do. That's how you acquire anything, right? So say my $5,000 per month that I intend to, earn and create in my own business. What am I going to give for that? Well, you just jot down a couple of things. I just wrote in a couple of things. Time, study. I have a course I bought. So that's in exchange for money. You might have to purchase a course. And so, yeah, time, study, and dedication, and just continuity, right? Discipline. Just keep doing something, If you, as they say, quote, fall off or would I get back up? Just keep going. I mean, last time I was on the live was the 9th, and I want to do it, I don't know, every week, whatever. We're here now, right? It's the 23rd, right? So just keep going. Keep going. That's your secret to success. It's just to continue. Okay. So what do you intend to give in return for the money that you desire, right? Or whatever your goal is. Okay. You might have to give some money in exchange for that to earn, right? You may need to do that. You don't need to do that all the time. There's a lot of, free information out there. I mean, it is, a lot of the coaches want to say that that's not always the best. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes you have to actually pay for a mentor who's been where you are, and but there are people who, whether it's YouTube or whatever it is, they call it YouTube University, and some people say it's not the best, but there are people who have been dedicated themselves and taken whatever subject they desire, and they have watch videos on it. Maybe they pick one creator or whatever that they resonate with, and they write down the information, they study it, and they do it. The most important thing is doing it, implementing it, right? But you can do that for something that is free, but sometimes you do have to purchase a course, right? I do also have a course available as well that you can get, for the low, right? Some of y'all might have heard about it. It's kind of all over this app right now. It's called DBA. It's but that's an option. But that's, again, I'm here to talk about Think and Grow Rich and facilitate that. But that's one of the options that I have for you if you want to start an online business. It can help you do that as well and get in for a very low price. So what do you intend to give in return for the money that you desire? Okay, your time, some money, some dedication, some study. Give up some other time, like maybe watching frivolous things that are not giving you the knowledge and the money that we're glad you're here, right? So this is part of what you're doing in exchange for what you desire, right? So that's number 2. Number 3, by when. When is your goal date of what you would like to achieve, right? So I put December the 1st, 2024. That's when I'd like to, at least by then, be earning my $5,000 per month in my business and all that good stuff, right? And that's just a beginning goal. Sometimes you got to kind of start at a goal that you feel is realistic, so that your mind doesn't like block it right away. It could be $500 a month, like extra money in your business. That could be a realistic goal. $1,000 extra a month. Some people start opportunities like that, and then they just, they go up. It's up from there. You know what I mean? Like, again, it brings us to the subject of why I'm studying this book in the first place. I'm trying to show it with this effect on here. But Think and Grow Rich, you can see the book at the top. So Bob Proctor studied this book when he was 26 years old. Okay, he's since passed a couple years ago. Rest in power. And I saw a video of him probably a couple months ago. That's when I started this series of kind of facilitating this book, Think and Grow Rich, live on TikTok and on YouTube. And sometimes I post on like Facebook and Instagram, but I usually go live on YouTube. You can find the other episodes at Wealth with Tia on YouTube. And so the reason why I started that was because I saw the video from Bob Proctor, and he said how he studied this book. It actually started with a prayer, really, to the universe and the creator and all that, about getting in line with the frequency of money and all that. And then all these things started happening. And so I knew there were signs, and I knew I had to act on it. That's another thing. When you ask of the universe, right, you get specific, and then you get that little feeling, right? Some the church people say they when God told me that, you must know. I don't know. Maybe some people don't know, but when something kind of like drops in your spirit, as they say, right? It may not be your thought. It's a thought, because you might feel some resistance. You're like, can I do that? Do I want to do that? Whatever. And anyway, that's kind of what happened to me with this. But I saw the video from Bob Proctor, and he said he was studying his book, Think and Grow Rich, since he was 26 years of age. He basically never put the book down. The man became a millionaire and all that good stuff when he started studying this book. This is why it's so important. Thanks for the likes. Like up the stream, share it out if you feel that it's a good subject, for somebody else, and if you appreciate the time and all that good stuff, right? This subject. But he, when he was 26 years old, y'all, he was earning $4,000 per year. Okay. All right. $4,000 per year. Now, this was in the mid 1900s, right? Sounds like a long time ago. It wasn't that long ago. But he was 26 years of age, in debt, because he was earning $4,000 a year, but he owed $6,000. Okay, so some of us can relate to that, because whatever you're earning, it don't even matter how high. If you owe more than you earn, then there it is, right? We don't want that, right? Or we want to get out of that, right? Whatever the situation is. So he said he studied this book, Think and Grow Rich, and he just applied the principles. He worked with a mentor, and he just kept And he had in the video, and I have it linked on one of the videos that I had recorded already at Wealth of Tea on YouTube, these episodes. And Bob Proctor, he has a tattered copy of this book in the video. The book that he had for like years and years. He was probably reading this book for 60 years, y'all. Okay. We don't have an excuse of, oh, this is old and outdated. It was made in 1937. There are a lot of books on, money principles and all this good stuff, right? And we can read those too. I guess the goal is just to pick one and focus. But there are a lot of principles in this book, Think and Grow Rich, that stand the test of time. Bob Proctor said by the end of that year, so he started earning $4,000 per year. By the end of the first year that he was studying the book, he earned about $185,000. Now, I mean, how's that for a leap? And then within 5 years, he was a millionaire. Okay. Reading this book, Think and Grow Rich, and applying the steps. So when I saw that after my prayer and everything, I said, you know what? I'm going to do that. And then the vision, the feeling dropped in my spirit, as they say, do it on live, because some other people might want to, study it with you, right? And so that's why we're here. Hey, Sheil, hey, let's go. One step at a time. Let's go. All right, y'all. So we're going over the 6 practical steps to acquire riches, and then we're going to start reading and go into chapter 2 a little bit more. That's the chapter on desire, because you have to have, as we were learning last week, what they call a burning desire to achieve your goal. And one thing I'm learning from this book, y'all, these people who have achieved the success, Henry Ford, we learned about him last week a little bit. These inventors and all these great, people who created these companies that stood the test of time, they had a relentless attitude. Henry Ford said, look, I had this idea for this invention, this 8-cylinder thing with one, contraption, or however you wanted to do it, one engine. They were like, the engineers were like, we've never seen anything like this before. We can't do this. He said, no, continue to work on it. He said, I want it and I will have it. That's what he said. And y'all, 6 months went by, no progress. I guess there's always some progress, right? But not what they were looking for. The inventors were like, the engineers, we can't do what you're asking us to do, Henry Ford. He said, I want it and I'll have it. Continue. Basically, like, this is what I paid you to do. Continue to do it. They worked for a year. So 6 more months go by. A year, in, and they're like, we can't do it. It's impossible. He's basically like, I don't know the word impossible. I don't know the word impossible. They continued, the engineers, for maybe a few more months after that. The first year, boom, it said in the book, it was as if it was like magic. They achieved their goal. Sometimes you might not achieve your goal in the first few months. And guess what? That's okay. That's okay. It doesn't mean it's not going to get done. What it means is you need to continue to keep going, particularly if you have that vision. If you know that path is for you, you know that you received that vision from God, from source, from your higher self, whatever it is. If you had this desire for or a talent since you were a child, and this is something you love to do, and you just feel, how they say, in your spirit that you just need to do it, and it's not leaving you, put in the work, put in the consistency and do it. Henry Ford said after a year, look, I want it and I'll have it. And guess what? It happened. But if they would have stopped at any point within that time, it would not have happened, right? So that's what I'm learning. That's the chapter we're in, desire. Number 4, what is your plan? These are the 6 practical steps to acquire riches that we're learning from Think and Grow Rich. What's your plan? Louisiana, what's the plan? Miller, what's the plan? Okay. So part of my plan for acquiring these, this $5,000 per month in my business is, part of what we're doing right here, right? TikTok lives. Because, they say. We don't know the future of, of the app, but TikTok is the place to be as far as social media is concerned, right? Depends on who you ask, but particularly with like TikTok Shop, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people doing a lot on that one. I'm just saying, right? You need a certain amount of followers and things like that to participate in that. But that's part of my plan, jumping on here with y'all, right? Studying this book, Think and Grow Rich, right? That's part of my plan. I have creating a book. There's a book idea or ebook idea I had. So I'll, that's in there as well. And also studying my t-shirt course. I don't know if y'all can see right here. I'm gonna stand up a little bit. I have a t-shirt business. It's called Body in God. I'm wearing my t-shirt right now. It's called Avatar of God. And so I am metaphysical. Some years ago, about 12 years ago now, I was fasting I thought I was going to be a raw vegan forever and ever. And I was just eating fruit and nuts and seeds because I was seeing the people online doing it and living these vibrant lives. And at the time, I was in a very toxic and challenging, difficult relationship. And I had some slight like health things, some swelling in my feet and stuff through pregnancy and stuff like that. So I wanted to like cure that. So I'm like, anyway, long story short, it ended up being a fast because with the finances I had at the time, I wasn't able to, or it didn't facilitate me the ability to buy as much like fruit and nuts and seeds and all the stuff I wanted to eat. So if I wanted to eat like that, I just had to eat a little bit. And if anybody knows, if you're if you just eat a little bit of fruit and like I was eating like kale, raw kale and stuff like that, it's just not enough. But anyway, I survived. I'm here, right? 12 years later and counting, Lord willing. But through that time, those months that I was eating this little bit of living foods, eventually I had a spiritual awakening. I literally had a vision. And I'm like, I won't say typical, but I'm like, just about any other person who's into like the Bible. And I was raised on like the Old Testament and stuff like that. Like I read about angels. I read about, people having visions, but I never, it's like, it's something you hear or maybe read about, but I never knew or experienced it as a real thing. Never knew anybody that had anything like that. So it was just like something in the Bible, but yeah. And I heard about somebody who did have a vision. He said he did, but anyway, never knew him really personally. So I actually did, and the vision that I had was that everything is God. That's the vision. I literally had it. So I could actually speak from personal experience having this vision while I was fasting. When I was just eating like fruit and living foods. I was drinking water, had my raw kale and stuff like that over a series of months. It was a little bit of food. And I was sitting outside one day. It's a whole long story. I don't have to go into it now, but I had a vision that everything's God and like everything, like us, you, me. And the way it came to me was that everything and everyone is a cell inside of God's body, basically. And together we make up that entity and that being that we call God and source. And actually, if you think about it, it's a really beautiful way of thinking about life. It doesn't take religion necessarily or spirituality out of the picture, but it does put it in a different perspective. And life is so much broader to me. I've never been the same since. And years later, I formed a t-shirt or a sportswear brand very recently. I just did that this year, guys, like a few months ago, called Body in God, based on the vision that I had, right? So I want to start to get my brand out there. And I bought a course some months ago, like the end of last year, regarding this. But I need to the site is out and all that good stuff, but there's still a lot, even in the course I had to learn, right? So that's part of my goal and my steps to acquire riches. And it's $5,000 per month, because there's nothing wrong with being spiritual and having money. We should know that. That's why we're doing this. That's why we study this book, Think and Grow Rich. Okay. And being spiritual beings and all that good stuff. Right. However you feel that you fit into that category, where you feel that God is experiencing life as you, through you, or that you are a child of God. Either way, Deuteronomy 8:18, that's one of the places that has already given you permission to be wealthy, to be rich. Okay? Deuteronomy 8:18 says, remember the Lord your God, for it is he, and of course we know that the feminine and the masculine aspect are both aspects of the Creator, right? For it is he that gives you the power to get wealth. God has already given you that power. So you already have permission to be wealthy, right? So right now what we're doing is we are studying the book Think and Grow Rich to learn some more practical steps of how to do it. Because that's one thing, the Bible, it doesn't always give us the practical stuff. It gives us little things here and there. We have to put together the other pieces, right? We went over this last week too, when the woman, she was a widow, and she was left with her children, and she was like, I got this debt. Like, man of God, help me out. He said, okay, well, what do you have? The man of God, he didn't give her the money. He said, what do you have in the house, woman of God? What do you have? She said, I don't really have much, but I don't know, some oil. A lot of oil. She had the oil. He said, okay, I could work with that. You go get the bottles. Now you can borrow something. Now you gave me something to work with. So now you go around and you can borrow all the bottles and you fill that up and you go sell that, and you and your children live off the rest. And that's what she did. Hallelujah. You heard what I said? So she was able to get out of debt. She was able to become prosperous from the work that she did and from something that she already had. But the point of me bringing that up in that moment is that she had permission from God to do so. She got that advice from the man of God. He didn't say, well, it's bad. What do you mean you want to get out of debt? Yeah, God wants you to be debt free. Okay. So what are your goals? All right. So number 4 is, what's your plan? Right. Number 5, you sum up 1 through 4 all in like a paragraph and all that good stuff. So you put everything together, the exact amount of money that you desire, what you intend to give in return for the money that you desire, your date of acquisition of this money, your plan. That's your number 5. You put it all together, you write it down. And then number 6, the final step for acquiring riches, according to Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, you read it twice per day. Now that's the part I got to work on that, because I don't always go back to it. But I have been doing other things and keeping some things consistent. But that is an important part of it. That's what he said. So that's number 6. Read it and be consistent. Okay. So that's a little recap of last week in the chapter Desire. And we will go into right now some more of chapter 2, Desire. All right. So Napoleon Hill is motivating us right now. And he's telling us about the Wright brothers and Lincoln and Thomas Edison and Henry Ford, and how they dreamed these dreams and how they overcame these obstacles. Right. And so that's, I just posted a video. I'm not sure if the video brought you here, or it was like, you can either, it's either or, right? You make a choice. It's either obstacles or stepping stones, right? Obstacles or opportunities. Which one, right? Hey, Curling, 'tis the season. That's right. 'Tis the season to get some, to grow rich around here. You heard me. All right. So if you're liking the live, give me some likes. We appreciate you. Share it out if you feel like this subject is valuable and could be valuable to somebody else as well. We appreciate you. So we're live on YouTube right now and TikTok, and I just shared it out to my crew on Facebook as well. All right. So now we're talking about Marconi. Marconi dreamed of a system for harnessing the intangible forces of the ether, right? The spiritual environment around us. Evidence that he did not dream in vain may be found in every wireless and radio in the world. Moreover, Marconi's dream brought the humblest cabin and the most stately manor house side by side. He brought the cabin and the rich house together through the technology. That's what he's saying, right? So that you can right now we can connect with anybody. You can connect with anybody, right? Whereas before that, the event of this certain type of technologies, there was so much of a separation, a chasm, if you will, right, between what they call, quote, the haves and the have-nots. Now you can tune into whoever you desire and learn from them and absorb that energy, right? The Hermoses and the Gary V's and the people that's teaching these successful principles. We don't have so much separation right now. Separation is an illusion anyway, right? We're all working on that one to get out of that illusion of separation, right? The money you dream and of desiring is already there. It's just certain things we have to do to, boom, acquire it in a physical reality. There's no separation between you or a version of you, as they say, and the things that you desire, okay? So Marconi's dream brought these two together, the humblest cabin, the most stately manor house, right? The richest house, side by side. It made the people of every nation on earth backdoor neighbors. It gave the president of the United States a medium by which he or she may talk to all the people of America at one time on short notice. It may interest you to know that Marconi's friends, had him taken into custody and examined in a psychopathic hospital. What? Y'all, I'm reading this in real time. I haven't read like this book in a long time. I'm not even sure I read the whole thing before, actually. So I'm reading this in real time with y'all, okay? Marconi, okay, the inventor of all this wireless and all this good stuff, his friends, air quotes, because he put that in quotes, because I don't know what kind of friends those were. I guess they were concerned, but had him taken into psychiatric custody and examined when he announced that he had discovered a principle through which he could send messages through the air without the aid of wires or other direct physical means of communication. They tried to have him committed for having an idea that they never heard of before, that they had never seen done before. Like the person who was running, I don't know if you heard that story, the person who broke like the barrier for like sprinting a certain amount of miles, and it had never been done before, and everybody was saying it couldn't have been done. And then once somebody broke it, the record, then all these other people started breaking the record because they knew it could have been done. But you might be the one with the vision. Other people may not see your vision. They may not see your vision. And so they may think of you a certain way, right? Or you may make, I don't know, posts or certain comments or whatever. And your friends and family is like, I don't know. You're different. You're the weird one, or whatever. And you might not be saying anything too weird in reality, but it may be above maybe the average person's comprehension, or maybe it might be a goal to achieve that is out of beyond your family's achievements already, or vision for their lives or for your life or whatever. And so it seems odd. It seems too different, too impossible. You're just weird. You're just, I don't know. Well, that's what his friends thought, Marconi, and wow. That's extreme. So, I mean, I guess they were that concerned. These were, depending on the times they were in. But I mean, I could guess, I could imagine if somebody's saying something like that, you can send information and communicate with somebody. You don't need the wires. And they're like, for real? Okay. And now we do it all the time. We do it all the time. So it says the dreamers of today much better. Okay, thank the Most High. The world has become accustomed to new discoveries. Not saying that everybody's, discoveries or things that they think possible in their mind are always accepted right away, but they're a lot better than they were in certain times, right? No, it has been shown a willingness to reward the dreamer who gives the world a new idea. So he's saying, look, we're now accustomed to new discoveries, and the universe is asking for new discoveries. That's what Napoleon Hill is telling us. All right, because he's saying the universe, and it's shown a willingness to reward the dreamer who gives the world a new idea. What's your new idea? Or what's the idea that you want to apply to your life, to your business? How do you want to help and serve the world? Right. I was watching a video I think just yesterday, and the real successful guy on TikTok shop with his products, and he was saying sometimes you just have to tweak something 3% and make it better, and improve on it, and people they're going to get your thing or whatever that is, right? Whatever it is. The greatest achievement was at first and for a time but a dream. So the greatest achievement was at a time only something that was seen in somebody's head. Okay. Before it became a tangible thing. The oak sleeps in the acorn. I like that. I might have to post that on my Instagram today. The oak sleeps in the acorn. It's like one of the ladies, I made a video. Trying to think of her name. She said the table is in the tree. And I actually, one of my videos on here, I titled it that. The table is in the tree. So it's the same thing, right? The oak sleeps in the acorn. Okay. All right. D-Love, what's going on? The oak sleeps in the acorn. Did you know that? So if you want to see the oak, or when you see the oak, just know it started as that little seed, right? That little idea, that little thing that's in your head, that somebody else doesn't know, that they've never heard of before. I don't know, or they never heard you say, or what, or that you haven't done yet, right? Maybe it's not that unique, but maybe it's your little spin on something, or your spin on something, but you haven't done it yet. But it's an acorn. But you want to get to the oak. You gotta, you know what to do, right? You gotta start planting it, watering it, all that good stuff, right? So the oak sleeps in the acorn. This is what Napoleon Hill is teaching us. Okay. The bird waits in the egg. We just gonna keep on going. Okay. He gonna keep on going. And in the highest vision of the soul, a waking angel stirs. Dreams are the seedlings of reality. Please, please treasure your dreams. Treasure the visions that come to you. And don't just say, oh, it's just this idea. I don't know how I'm going to. Like, you don't have to know how. All you have to do is know the next step. Well, just what's the next step? You might just have to write something down. Like, don't just think of like step, number 10. You on 1. You don't have to know all that. Particularly when something is really small, you have to really nurture it. Y'all know that. You got to really nurture. That's the most sensitive time. Okay? So dreams are the seedlings of reality. Okay? Awake, arise, and assert yourself, you dreamers of the world. Okay? This is Napoleon Hill's advice to you from Think and Grow Rich. Okay? Your star is now in the ascendancy. Come on now, going up. All right, let's give a like for that. Your star is now in the ascendancy. The World Depression brought the opportunity you have been waiting for. Remember, this book was written in 1937. So it still applies to the day. So during that time they were going through the depression, you could say during this time we're going through whatever, right? All kind of stuff going on, right? But as long as you're steady, God is steady with you, what else is there? What else? Because for real, all the rest of the stuff is the illusion. All the rest of the stuff is changeable. Okay? Your star is on the way up. It's going up. Okay? It's not on the way up. It's going up. As long as you put in the effort. Okay? It says the World Depression at this time brought the opportunity people have been waiting for. Right? And whatever times we find ourselves in, bring the opportunities you're waiting for. It taught people what? Humility, tolerance, and open-mindedness. The world is filled with an abundance of opportunity, which the dreamers of the past never knew. He said the dreamers of the past don't know about this world. Okay? But there's an abundance of opportunity right now for you. It all depends on what are we doing? We doing obstacles or are we doing stepping stones? We doing obstacles or are we doing opportunities? A burning desire to be and to do is the starting point from which the dreamer must take off. Dreams are not born of indifference, laziness, or lack of ambition. Okay. So a person doesn't achieve their goals through, first of all, being indifferent. I mean, whatever. What you mean, whatever? First of all, you have to realize that with everything we say and what we do, we're giving action to the universe. We're giving a command. So how is the universe going to take the command if you haven't given it, if it's not consistent? Okay, you want to lose some weight? I don't know. How many pounds? What you mean? What is it? Well, I don't know how it's going to happen. No, you say it first. And then you see it because you're putting out a command. So how many pounds? Okay, 30. Okay, so now the universe can work with that. 10, whatever. What's your financial goal? Well, I mean, I just want to, have a better job. What's a better job? But what does that mean? They treat me with more respect. Oh, okay. Everybody's not trying to do my job. Okay. Whatever it is, right? Whatever it is. Maybe it's a better location, a different location. Whatever it is. More money. How much? How much money would you like to make? Increase. You want to raise. How much? $10,000 per year. Oh, okay. The universe can work with that when you put in specifics, okay? So dreams are not born of indifference, laziness, or lack of ambition. The world no longer scoffs, right, at the dreamer, nor calls him or her impractical, right? You can have dreams. It's okay. It's okay. You can have dreams. If you think that the world doesn't treat dreamers in a good way, take a trip to Tennessee. This is what he says. And witness what a dreamer president has done in the way of harnessing and using the great water power of America. All right, we're going to another story. A score of years ago, such a dream would have seemed like madness. All right. You have been disappointed. You have undergone defeat during the Depression. You have felt like the great heart within you crushed until it bled. Okay, you have felt the great heart. So this is how people felt during that time. Take courage, for these experiences have tempered the spiritual metal of which you are made. They are assets of incomparable value. This is relevant to today because there are people who feel this. They get social media, see all the stuff that's going on in the world or whatever, and they feel these things. whether it's disappointment. We got a lot going on right now, right? The election, all up and coming and all that good stuff. And people feel a lot of things, right? People have been talking about the energy. But remember, too, that all who succeed in life, this was what he said. He said they get off to a bad start and pass through many heartbreaking struggles before they arrive. The turning point in the lives of those who succeed usually come at the moment, of some kind of crisis, right? Or when they get through something, through which they are introduced to their other self. So it's like, and again, I'm not personally promoting that people go through, we have all been through, certain things. I like to put out positive things in the universe, right? So we're blessed, and certain things come as a blessing and a lesson, right? Not to harm or destroy you or a person, but to be a lesson. But it's through certain challenging times that another part of an individual has to kick in. And though I don't like to sit in a certain mode at a certain time, because we want to, what the girlie say, to live the soft life sometimes. Not even necessarily having somebody taking care of you. It could be from your own, laurels, your own business, your own efforts that are, whatever, pouring in, whatever it is. We want to live that soft life. But sometimes those challenges introduce us to a part of ourself, of oneself, that is that survival mode. That is that mode that just gets done what needs to get done. This is what he's talking about. He said they get introduced to their other self through these issues. John Bunyan wrote The Pilgrim's Progress, which is among the finest of all English literature. This is what he says, right? After he had been confined in prison and sorely punished because of his views on the subject of religion. Wow. There was a time when people were confined because of their views on religion. Okay. Now it's just comments and stuff like that. See, that's, I'm just saying. I'm not saying that some remnants of that, don't happen maybe in other ways, but it's certainly not how it used to be, right? But he wrote this fine piece of English literature after such a challenging time. O. Henry discovered the genius which slept within his brain after he had met with a great misfortune. And he was also confined to a prison cell. Wow. In Columbus, Ohio. So again, we're putting out the energy of freedom. And again, the words are very powerful. So we're learning from these other people's stories to, you can learn from other people's stuff. You don't never had to go through anything like that, right? But this happened to him in Columbus, Ohio, being forced through misfortune to become acquainted with his other self and to use his imagination. He discovered himself to be a great author instead of a miserable criminal and outcast. So he was doing some criminal stuff or whatever he was doing. But he changed it up when he had the time and, all that, or the circumstances to do other things that were more productive. He became a great author. Strange and varied are the ways of life, Napoleon Hill says. And stranger still are the ways of infinite intelligence, God, source, the universe, the ether, all that good stuff, right? The cosmos, through which men and women, right, individuals are sometimes forced to undergo all sorts of challenges, let's say, before discovering their own brains and their own capacity to create useful ideas through imagination. Personal note. Well, I just look for the day where the human being can learn without having to learn the hard way. You know what I'm saying? I just want to say that. My God, today. This just seems like it's so much stubbornness in here. It's so much, sometimes we have to get through. And I don't believe that the human being always has to learn through really extreme notions. Like if a person can see the road that they're heading, right, and certain things are happening that is just not, not aligned with their highest and greatest good, right? Then get off of that road. Because if they keep traveling down that road, that's when the lesson's gonna be really hard. I just believe that we can, veer off of those roads that bring people smack into like certain, like really, really, really tough lessons. And this is, we've all been through great challenges, but as I learn and as I get older and, whatever it is and process things, I'm like, every lesson doesn't have to be learned like that. But unfortunately, for many human beings, yes, they do have to learn lessons through great, great challenges for another part of them to kick in and realize they don't like that feeling of all that other stuff. They want prosperity. They want safety. They want health. They, right? Okay. So he says that these individuals have to go through all these challenges before discovering their own brains and their own capacity to create useful ideas through imagination. It's like the human being has to be forced to say, man, now a person is up against the wall and now they have no other choice but to use whether there's their imagination or whatever it is to get them out of a situation. Like, I get it. You know what I mean? Or whatever. But let's do better. Let's learn from other people's, maybe mistakes or challenge, or even anything that we've gone through, so we don't have to continuously repeat like that, and we can start to build more positive experiences, right? Okay. Edison, the world's greatest inventor and scientist, was a person who didn't have a lot of money, right? They call this a tramp. That's what they used to call in the old terms, right? He was just a telegraph operator. He failed innumerable times before he was driven finally to the discovery of the genius which slept in his brain. Where's the genius in your brain? Are you aware that you have genius in your brain? And that for a lot of people, they have to get into situations where it's just that genius kicks in, in these challenging times, and they have to figure it out, right? Are you aware that you have genius in your brain? Charles Dickens began by pasting labels on blacking pots. This is what it's called. The tragedy of his first love penetrated the depths of his soul, right? This is what motivated him and converted him into one of the world's truly great authors. Wow. He had a first love, didn't work out. I don't know all the story of it, but Charles Dickens, hello. Turned into one of the, it's called alchemy, right? Where you take a situation that one doesn't like and you turn it into gold, baby. You turn it into gold. How are you going to use the situations in your life? What alchemy, what magic are you going to create? Okay. The tragedy that he experienced produced first, this is another one. First, David Copperfield, then a succession of other works that made this a richer and better world for all who read his books. Disappointment over love affairs generally has the effect of driving men to drink and women to ruin, okay? And this because most people never learn the art, here it is, of transmuting, this is alchemy, transmuting their strongest emotions into dreams of a conservative nature. I'm going to underline that. I like that. Learn the art of transmuting your strongest emotions into your dreams and make them into a reality. So even the emotions that you might not like, you can use that because that's energy. Helen Keller became deaf, right? That's what they say. They use it with a DDB. These are the words he's using. Some people, when they rewrite this book, Think and Grow Rich, and they change some of the words because they're not politically correct anymore. But she wasn't able to hear, I guess, think well. She wasn't able to see. Shortly after birth, despite her greatest misfortune, she has written her name indelibly in the pages of the history of the great. My God, today. Lord have mercy. She had 3. Can you hear? I'm just saying, God is good. You hear me right on here now. Okay. Can you think? Can you process in your brain? We might all want to get better with that, but we can process. Can you see? God is good. If you can answer yes to just those basic questions, you had the foundation of success. This woman could not hear, she could not see or anything. But despite that, she became, the Helen Keller. Her entire life has served as evidence that no one ever is defeated until defeat has been accepted as reality. That's it. Huh. So as long as you don't accept it as defeat, like, no. No, we're going to find a way. We're going to find another way. All right, that path is blocked. We're going to go this way. But you know what I'm saying? Then you're not defeated. You're still here. You're still here, right? We love you still here. That's true. You still here? I see some people watch. Are you still here? If you're still here, then you can keep on going. Okay? Like Les Brown said, if you can look up, you can get up. Okay? If you can look up, you can get up. Robert Burns was an illiterate country young boy, right? Said he was cursed by poverty and grew up to be a drunkard. So he was drunk. He said he grew up to be so he was just. The world was made better for his having lived, though. So somehow he overcame that because he clothed beautiful thoughts in poetry and thereby says plucked a thorn and planted a rose in its place. He removed the thorn and he planted a rose where the thorn was in his life. Wanda, what's going on? Black Love, what's going on, y'all? Like up the stream if you like it, share it out. We appreciate you. We're live on YouTube and TikTok right now, studying from Think and Grow Rich in chapter 2, Desire. Okay. Booker T. Washington was born in slavery, handicapped at that time by his race and color. Because he was tolerant, had an open mind at all times on all subjects, and was a dreamer, he left his impression for good on an entire race. Okay. Beethoven was deaf. That's still hard to... I'm forgetting that. What? Beethoven was deaf. I mean, if you just think about that for a minute. Beethoven. That beautiful music, like for real? Milton was blind, but their names will last as long as time endures because they dreamed and translated their dreams into organized thought. Okay? How will you translate your dreams into organized thought? That's what we're learning right now from Think and Grow Rich. Before passing to the next chapter, right? Renew your mind. He says, kindle anew in your mind, right? The fire, the desire of hope, of faith, of courage, and tolerance. If you have these states of mind, what states of mind? Hope. Do you have hope? Hope has to do with the future, doesn't it? Right? If you really know what you really know, they say all is the present. There is no past and no future. Everything is the present because when the future comes, it's going to be the present, right? Your hope is your hope in doing the things that are going to lead you to what we call a future moment that you enjoy. Do you have hope? And what hope is you think it's possible. You have to know. We went over that last week. It's recorded on Wealth with Tia at YouTube. Les Brown has a whole teaching on that. It's possible. So that's your hope. Faith. That's when you kind of, hold on long enough to the hope. You got some faith, maybe into something larger, It's like, yeah, the universe does, intend good for all of humanity, no matter really what it looks like. So now we have to learn how to co-create and bring the reality that we desire. Because it's not like something is, quote, out to get a person, for real, for real. That's where the hope and the faith comes in. Courage. Courage is doing it in the face of what we call fear. There's a book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. That's a book. Okay. That's courage. All right. And anybody's never, heard of that book, or maybe you haven't. Let's see who the author is. Feel the Fear, Dr. Jeffers, Susan Jeffers. Okay, so you can check that book out. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Some people want to get on, video, but they feel too much fear. They don't even do it. And that may be, even though you can do a lot of stuff faceless. Faceless is pretty big now. You don't have to always jump on a video, right? Nobody's perfect now, You don't have to feel like you're perfect. You just have to feel like you have something to say and feel that you have the ability to express it in the way that you do. But some people are really, maybe that's a part of their business or an important part of their business, or they just feel too much fear to do that. But maybe you can get a book like that and it can help you in any area of your life where, it's too much fear is holding you back. But courage is doing it anyway, right? So we got hope, we got faith, we got courage, and we have tolerance. Tolerance. Having some ability to endure. A little bit of challenges, you got some tolerance. You put it all together and you can push through challenging times and know that there's going to be sun on the other side of that. You're going to get some kind of, as they say, break, some kind of, the universe is merciful. That's what I find. Even when we have, when things happen and things, the sun comes out. A little sun today, a little gloomy, a little cloudy has been, depending on where you are, but the sun comes out. It's still behind the clouds now, All right. Hope, faith, courage, tolerance. If you have these states of mind and a working knowledge of the principles described, right, all else that you need will come to you. Like I said earlier, all you have to do is know the first step. But he's saying that if you have these things, hope, faith, courage, and tolerance, and those principles that we described already, everything else that you need is going to come to you when you are what? Ready for it. That's what they say. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. That's what people say. Let Emerson. I love Emerson. Ralph Waldo Emerson. I think he's like my favorite poet. Yeah. Let Emerson state the thought in these words. Every proverb, every book, every byword that belongs to thee for aid and comfort shall surely come home through open or winding passages. Every friend whom not thy fantastic will, but the great and tender soul in thee craveth, shall lock thee in his embrace. Wow. Everything that you desire shall come to you and finally lock you, surround you in its embrace. Every proverb, every book, every byword that belongs to you for aid and comfort will come to you. Through open or winding passages. So it's going to find you. It's going to find you. Okay? Through an open passage or a winding passage. I hear these phrases. And when I watch videos about like relationships and things like that, and they say like, and this is just in general, but if something is meant for you, if someone is meant for you or whatever it is, it's yours. That's what it says. It might sound a little I don't know, fantastical, or whatever. But if it's your real desire, there's a saying, what you desire desires you. Because if it's something that's in your heart, then that means there's a match somewhere in the universe to that desire, and it is yours. So it's going to find you. Whatever you desire is going to find you through any means, any way possible. Know that for a surety, particularly if it's something, a thought, a belief, whatever it is that you continue to, have within yourself, it will find you. There is a difference, though, now listen to this, between wishing for a thing and being ready to receive it. Okay? This is where it comes to when we ask, like, what do we desire? What do you want? How much money do you want? How much weight you want to lose? How much weight you want to gain? I don't know, whatever. What kind of house do you want to have? What kind of neighborhood? Where? I'm still figuring that one out. I say I desire to have a luxury home and all that stuff. I mean, I'm grateful for the home I have. You can turn your home into a luxury home, first of all, just by the way it looks. That's the first thing. Okay. And so, but I have yet to determine exactly what area, what neighborhood, what state, what is there. And so as soon as I determine that, like, I can kind of know how I want it to look. But do I want to, stay in a certain state? Do I want to move to another state? So when we get specific about these things, and perhaps as we are more ready for things, we do get more specific, right? So that's why I'm bringing that up. So he says, Napoleon says, there's a difference between wishing for a thing and being ready to receive it. No one is ready for a thing until they believe they can acquire it. Wow. You ain't ready for it till you believe it's yours. The state of mind must be belief, not mere hope or wish. So Napoleon Hill is differentiating between belief and hoping and wishing. There's a little bit more to belief. Now, I don't even always love that word belief. That kind of gets a bad rap in a way, because when you believe something, this is what I was taught back in the day and my congregation and all that, there's doubt, right? There's either you know it or you don't, right? Because even when you believe something, there's still a little space for like doubt, right? But that's just a little space between the reality of something becoming your mind, becoming a physical reality. But he's saying that belief is different than hoping and wishing, right? When you get into belief, you get into more of the plans and things like that. Open-mindedness is essential for belief. So you got to be open, because you don't know how these things are going to come to you, right? How all your goodness and all that good stuff. So an open-mindedness is essential for belief. A closed mind does not inspire faith, courage, and belief. It just is what it is. You might have some people like that around you. Their mind's closed. It's just you tell them about your dreams, your goals. You know what I'm saying? They can grow rich. You want to study the book. You want to. Well, what you mean? That's for rich people. That's for somebody. I don't know. They're not like you. That ain't for us. What you mean? What do you mean it's not? That's a closed mind. Okay, it's like similar to the saying, "Closed mouths don't get fed." Y'all know that. Well, closed minds don't either. Hey, come on, somebody. Closed minds don't get fed either. All right, where my clapper at? Closed minds don't get fed either. I got a little clapper. Okay. All right. Remember, no more effort is required to aim high in life, to demand abundance and prosperity, than is required to accept misery and poverty. He said, ain't no more effort to accept poverty or to desire and demand. He said demand abundance and prosperity. So either one, pick one, because they both take effort, and it just depends on where you put in your energy. That's it. Okay, that's it. So which one you want to put your energy into? Because we're not trying to accept misery and poverty over here. We're just not doing it. If it's the will of the Most High, we're not doing that. And that's not even God's will. Because God already told us in Deuteronomy 8:18 that we have permission to get wealth. We have power to get wealth. So that's not even God's. Poverty is not even God's will. It's not. Unfortunately, there are people who experience that in different levels. Some, more than others or whatever. But it's not, some people have to learn lessons through different experiences, but it's not for our highest and greatest experience on earth. And the universe, desires more for its inhabitants than that, for sure. Okay. A great poet has correctly stated this universal truth through these lines. All right. I bargained with life for a penny, and life would pay no more. He said, that's all I wanted. That's all I asked for. And that's all that life gave me. So says the person. Okay, not me. So, right? But basically, that's all they wanted. That's all they got. Okay. However, they begged that evening when they counted their little, what they had. He says, his scanty store. Okay. For life is just employer. He gives what you ask. But once you have set the wages, why, you must bear the task. Wow. You must work for it. So once you set whatever wage you're willing to work for in life, whatever you desire, whatever you say that you desire and that you want, life is going to give it to you. And now your effort is going towards that. So why don't you dream big? That's basically what this is saying. We're going to finish up. Why don't you dream big? Dream bigger. Because the effort that you're putting in to accept this low wage, right, from life, from the job, from the whatever, from the universe itself, right, from the person that we're dealing with, right, they're giving us a little, whatever, from your own self, from your whatever, right, it requires the same amount or some effort, just like it requires effort to desire bigger. So put your effort and desires, even if it's mental effort at first, into what you would like to happen. And give that some air, some energy behind that. Okay? It said life is just employer. It gives you what you ask. But once you have set the wages, why, you must bear the task. He worked for a menial hire, only to learn dismayed that any wage I had asked of life would have willingly paid. Woo-hoo! I like that. What? You mean to tell me if I ask for more, I can get it? Yeah, you might have put some work. There's gonna be some time in it. I told y'all this a little bit last week. I'm not sure if y'all was here last week. Hey, Peggy, D Love, let's go. We got user 2478, boom, 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 all that good stuff. All right, look, and everybody else that's joining, that's in the hallway, because we know how TikTok is. You can look at the live. You don't even have to come in. If you're liking it or, share it out, like up the stream. That helps the live out. Appreciate you so we can get out to more people. We're in chapter 2 of Think and Grow Rich. Appreciate you. When I won $5,000 from a vision board that I did. This was years ago. I try to tell the story kind of quick, but I enjoy telling the story. But I literally like put a little cut out, face picture of mine. It was from an actual picture, and I just cut out the face part and put that over. It was like a little character. So at the time I was working, stay-at-home mom, and wanted some more income. And the picture I was flipping through, this was Essence magazine. I was flipping through the magazine and I saw a character. It's like a cartoon picture drawing of a woman. And there was a computer and it said $50. And it was like work at home. There was a whole article about working at home. I said, oh, I like that. I'll put that on my vision board. So I like tore out the page and I took existing pictures that I had and I cut out the face, my face, and I taped it to the cartoon picture. And it was like a smiling picture of me, which is good. If you use your picture in a vision board or something like that, it's good to have like a smiling picture because you look happy. You also don't have to use an actual picture. I kind of want to go over that a little later. We'll see if we get to that. Because drawing your reality is actually a thing. But anyway, you can draw it as well. So you don't have to have a picture, but I actually use a picture. And what I did, so it said $50 on the screen. So I was like, I said, I'm going to make that 5,000. And that's how, I guess I like 5,000. I'm still on that right now. But yeah, I said, well, let me make it 5,000. And so I took a pen, an actual pen, and I put 2 zeros on the picture of the computer and I made it into $5,000. And I didn't think I'm telling y'all, I was just doing my vision board stuff. I didn't think like it would actually happen. And I think I stuck the picture on the board. I had all this other stuff. I had probably like 3 vision boards at the time, all kinds of stuff on there. But that was the only one, I think, if I remember correctly, that I actually wrote in or something like that. Anyway, this was years ago, but I remember it fondly. And so I don't know, some time went by. I really don't know how much time, I was not thinking about that picture. I think I had it up for a while and the stuff wasn't happening right away. And I put it away like in a closet somewhere. I was not thinking about it. So when you do vision boards, you don't necessarily have to see them all the time. Like I have them up now around my room, but you don't have to do it that way either necessarily. There's plenty of success stories I heard with vision boards and people, they forgot about stuff. They made it and put it somewhere. And then maybe a year later or whatever, they realize, oh my gosh, this is the house that I, drew, or a picture that I cut out, whatever. So, all right. So anyway, and they actually say that sometimes it is good for you to kind of like let it go and not, So anyway, long story short, I'm going through my life. I see there's an opportunity to do a call-in radio thing to earn some money. Long story short, I earned $5,000 from a call-in radio show. This was Dave Ramsey. Like this really happened to me. Some years ago, he was doing this giveaway, and he was giving away $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, and $5,000 a week. So when I heard it was on $4,000, I didn't even know it was going to be $5,000. And I had to do a couple things with it. You had to get like a certain dollar bill with like certain numbers in it or whatever. No particular order, and you had to be a certain number caller, like the odds, right? It's a long story of how it happened, but I actually won $5,000 from what I put on the vision board. It was literally, and the interesting thing about it was I was at the computer calling the phone, because at the time I had the type of phone system that you have to use with the computer. So I was the lady at the computer who got $5,000 in real time after I put that picture on my vision board. So I'm a living testimony to the vision boards. Yes, they do work, because I did it. And it happened the way it looked. It was $5,000. That's crazy. But my point of saying that was, I'm like, I should have put a couple more zeros on there. So, I'm just saying, right? Like, that's what I asked for from the universe. That was a huge blessing at the time, because it was right on top, like, right? But I asked for $5,000. That's what I got. So what we're being taught here is like, it's like, what do you desire? Because basically what you ask for, and particularly and what you put the effort into, but that petition you put out in the universe, you're going to get it. So what do you want? What do you desire? I turned that 50 to 5,000 and got it though. God is good. Thank you, Lord. What, by December 1st of this year, 2024, what is your financial goal? What would you like to see in your bank account? How many zeros? Write it out. Okay. Desire outwits Mother Nature. As a fitting climax to this chapter, I wish to introduce one of the most unusual persons I have ever known. I first saw him 24 years ago, a few minutes after he was born. This is Napoleon Hill. He's talking about his son. He came into the world without any physical sign of ears. This is his son. And the doctor admitted, when pressed for an opinion, that his child might be deaf and mute for life. This is what he was told about his child. He might not be able to hear. He might not be able to speak. Ever. The devil's a lie. I'm just saying, for some people it might be, but remember he talked about is what a person accepts as well. He challenged the doctor's opinion. So he challenged it. And he had a right to do so because he was the child's father. He said, I too reached a decision and rendered an opinion. But I expressed the opinion silently. So he didn't even express it outwardly. In the secrecy of his own heart, and decided that his son would hear and would speak. That's what he decided. But he didn't tell everybody. So that's another thing. You don't have to tell everybody all your desires and stuff. You just, okay. Just keep it right there. Universe, no. You just have to communicate it with yourself and the universe. Mm-hmm. So he kept the desire in his own heart. And he decided that his son would hear and would speak. He didn't care what the doctor said. Nature could send him a child without ears, but nature could not induce him to accept the reality of that affliction. Wow. Huh. He said, no. In his own mind, he knew that his son would hear and speak. How? He was sure that there must be a way. And he said, I knew I would find it. He just knew he would find it. He didn't know how, but he said he knew he would find it, Etta. All right? He knew he would find it. He thought of the words of Emerson. The whole course of things goes to teach us faith. We need only obey. There is guidance for each of us. And by lowly listening, we shall hear the right word. Woo! But you got to listen for the right word, y'all. You got to listen for the word. It's I know it sounds cliche, and you may know this already. It's a still small voice. That's the voice that told me to read this book and to do it on live. It was just like a feeling. It was like, you should do that on TikTok. Do that on YouTube. Now I'm recording the videos, and I have them, as a playlist on YouTube right now. All the episodes from this book so far. Okay. Who knows what can become of this, live free course, right? Okay. So there is guidance for each of us, he said, but by lowly listening, you shall hear the right word. So you got to listen for the word. You have to listen. And when you hear it, please act on it. Please act on it, because that's what you have. And usually when you do the first step, it's not something so out of your reach. Like, I don't know if y'all can tell, but I enjoy doing this. I get sometimes I get the choruses and I'm like, oh, and then I do it. I gotta concentrate, and I gotta, I like doing all that too. But sometimes what they say is your success comes from what you do with the least resistance. Like, what's the easiest thing? Like, I just like sharing information, like, getting on video. Like, I like explaining things to people and helping people and expressing myself. And so this is the path of least resistance for me, right? But so when I heard the still small voice that said, read this book, but don't just read it for you, facilitate it for others as well, I jumped on it. I think within a few days, I had done my first live on Think and Grow Rich, right? So he said, listen for that lowly, sound, and you shall hear the right word, right? The right word, he's going to tell you what's the right word. Desire. That's Napoleon Hill's word for you right now. More than anything else, I desired. This is what he said, that my son should not be a deaf mute. That's what Napoleon Hill said. From that desire, he never receded. He never went back from that. Not for a second. Many years previously, he had written, our only limitations are those we set up in our own minds. For the first time, he wondered if that statement was true, because then now he was being tested with the words he was telling other people. And, I'm just saying. And he was wondering if in his life, in real time, this was for real. Lying in bed, on the bed in front of him was a newly born child without the natural equipment of hearing. Even though he might hear and speak, he was obviously disfigured for life. Surely this was a limitation with that child, which that child had not set up in his own mind, right? He said that's not the child's fault. What could he do about it? He says, somehow I will find a way to transplant into that child's mind, listen, my own burning desire for ways and means of conveying sound to his brain without ears. Wow, that's amazing. I want you to listen to what he's saying right now. Okay, because this is very key. This is very key. Napoleon Hill said, how is he going to get this child to hear and to achieve this goal? And this could apply for any goal for you, your goals or whatever it is, your financial, whatever. How? He said, I have to get him to have the type of desire that I have, and knowing that it's possible and all that. I have to have him get a taste of the reality that it can happen. Because a lot of times when people are exposed to something, they want more. That's basically what he's saying. If you get a taste of something, sometimes if you don't know, what do they say? It's a saying. You don't know what you don't know. You ever heard that before? You just don't know what you don't know. If you don't know something, if you're not exposed to something, you don't have a real desire for it. He said he's going to get this child to get a taste of that feeling of hearing so that he can want it for himself. And then it's only a matter of time where it's going to happen. That's what he said. And that's what he's going to do. So again, we can alchemize. He's giving us this story to alchemize our situation, whatever situation it is, right? Your financial goal, whatever it is, you need to ensure that you get a taste of your desire becoming a reality. Okay. And you need to figure out how you're going to do that, whether it's what you're doing right now, watching this live, this course, Think and Grow Rich, right? You're like, oh man, these people, okay. Bob Proctor, he was earning $4,000. And then by the end of the year, when he was reading his book, he was earning $185,000. That's giving you a taste. That's giving your mind a taste of, wow, this is actually like, real. Maybe I could get something out of reading a book. It could be just reading a book. Y'all know Think and Grow Rich is free, right? I mean, I bought this copy online. Like you're going, this is free right now. Like on the app, you can look at the replays on at Wealth with T on YouTube. Right now, if you want, we got other 4 or 5 other episodes, right? But you can get the audio, and just listen to the audio. You do that on YouTube right now for free. And when you hear stories like this, when you attend free workshops, and you know how you have course creators, I don't know if you've seen them, you might have, and they say, oh, come join me on my free workshop, right? And they show you all the stats and the numbers and everything they achieve. But sometimes you got to do those things, right? Okay, you need to expose yourself to other people's success and mindset. Sometimes you have to see something being able to be done for somebody else to know that it's achievable. Because some people don't even think that their dreams are humanly possible. I don't know. But sometimes you got to see that it happened for somebody else. Like, yeah, people can earn $1 million a year and more or whatever. Like, we know that. But so sometimes practically you have to get a taste of what you desire, like kind of like close up in real time, so that that natural part of the human being and that desire can ignite. And there's only a matter of time before you achieve the goal. That's what he's saying. Okay? And that's what he did for his child. Now, here it is. So he says, somehow I will find a way to transplant that into that child's mind. That was the first thing. He didn't say something, I'm going to get the transplant. I'm going to do. He said, I'm going to transplant the idea into his mind to bring the desire for ways and means of that vision, right? And in this situation, it was conveying sound to his brain without the aid of this child having ears. And what did he say? It's important. He said, as soon as the child was old enough to cooperate, he said, I would fill his mind so completely with a burning desire to hear that nature would, by methods of her own, translate it into physical reality. Do you understand that? When you fill your mind so completely with a certain desire and you got it in you now, something else is going to take over. It's going to take your nature. It's going to take over. But you can't be wavering. Like, I don't know if I want it. I don't know what I want. I can't have it. What you mean? You need to then you need to borrow somebody else's. I was going to say idea. You need to borrow somebody else's energy and knowing that it is a possibility. And don't let it make you compare or be depressed. Or, oh, well, it happened for them. It's not going to happen. No. Absorb the information, right? Watch your favorite, I don't know, wealthy person, whatever, or person who achieved their goals, or read a book. Because sometimes even reading through a book, it gives you the step-by-step, the play-by-play that sometimes a video may not be able to give you, right? So your mind won't waver so much off of that because you get those words and you get that feeling within you, right? So find a good, this is where we are right now, Think and Grow Rich, right? Whatever it is. And get into the feeling of what it is that you desire. A successful business? Do you know or know of a successful entrepreneur in your field? That should be one of your first tasks. You want to be a successful what? I want to be a successful t-shirt brand owner. Body and God, right? That's what I want to. So that means I need to study under someone who has already achieved what I achieved. I did that. I bought a course for it. Now I need to work the course. Okay. I follow other creators on my brand account that have achieved the goals. One of the creators that I follow, she actually attended the same course that I purchased. And she is the creator of Afro Unicorn. I don't know if y'all ever heard of her. Maybe you have. Or that brand. April Showers is her name. And I follow her. She actually has a free community. It's for anybody who wants to like get into t-shirt, selling and design and stuff like that. And she is the first African-American, I think, woman in a huge brand retailer under like Party Supplies or something, right? Like if you go in Walmart and all these different places, you will see Afro Unicorn. She has books, her brand, but she started with an idea. They kept calling her a unicorn. She was doing these great things. She has her children, and they were like, "Wow, this before she had her brand." And her friends and things were like, "Girl, you a unicorn," And then she went to, I don't know, put her emojis up and whatever, and she couldn't find any unicorns that matched what she looked like. You're a brown woman like me, And I mean, it is what it is, whatever. We talk about diversity in the world, right? But she couldn't find any of the. And so what did she decide to do? She decided to make her own. She got to design, did all the things, right? This is where some people get stuck because they might not know how to do so. So you figure it out. She got an illustrator or whatever it was, created the vision in her mind. She wanted a unicorn that represented, the African American person, and particularly the young girls and stuff like that, because they're like into stuff like that, right? And she created it. And it started as a vision in her mind. I follow her. So when I'm on my business account and other things, I see her information. I'm a part of, or at least I signed up for community. I still have yet to like go over, because there's so much, right? In life, it's so much to do, right? Like I'm on live right now, like on YouTube and TikTok. Like, you know what I mean? We got things to do, right? You got to balance things out, right? But I'm making the steps and the efforts to do these things, to surround myself with people who have achieved the goals. This woman's brand is in Walmart. Hello! And all these other places. And it started as an idea in her mind based on what her friends were calling her. She didn't know she was going to end up in Walmart. One of her videos went viral. I don't know if y'all heard the little girl. Somebody complimented the little girl. I think this was kind of recently. Maybe it might have been this year or maybe last year. I was going around different apps. I know on Instagram it was on there too, but somebody complimented the little girl's hair. She said, and the little girl said, "Thank you. It's an afro." This was an advertisement or whatever for Afro Unicorns t-shirt brand, and it blew up. And then Walmart sees it, and blah blah blah, and the rest is history. Hello. Right? So these are the people I surround myself with so that I can get a taste of the reality that these things are possible for me. Who knows? I have a different vision, but I have a vision as well. But you have to know that certain things are possible so that you can see them for yourself. Okay, so that's all we're talking about. So this is what he did for his son. He said, I need to get him to feel this, okay, and know that he can hear too, like to feel some of it, to want, so that he can want more. He can start to do the things to get more, and a natural part of his humanness, okay, will take over and get him from this point to that point. That's what his father, Napoleon Hill, did. Okay. So all this thinking took place in his own mind. This is Napoleon Hill. He said, but I spoke of it to no one. This is what he said. He said he kept it in his mind. All right, I'm gonna implant my, my vision, my burning desire for that into him, where he can cooperate and he knows what to do. I'm gonna let him feel that he can hear. He goes really into it. We're gonna go into it a little bit more. And he said, but he ain't go and tell everybody. He ain't go and tell everybody so they could tell him, so they could try to, you know what I'm saying, get him examined in his own mind, because the doctor said this, and this. But he said, I'm not accepting that. I'm not accepting that. I don't know, Napoleon Hill wasn't talking about, God or whatever, but he talks about reality and nature and the universe. It's the same thing. The creator. That's all an extension of what we call God and source, right? So he knows the power of that. But he said he kept it in his own mind. He spoke of it to no one. Because sometimes when you had that acorn, yeah, you do have to kind of keep it to yourself. Okay, in the beginning. Till it has some more strength, right? And it's not so vulnerable. Okay. He said every day. So this was every day. He renewed the pledge he had made to himself not to accept a deaf mute for a son. Wow. Every day he was dedicated to this. This is why number 6 in the 6 steps of wealth, of attaining wealth, that Napoleon Hill said, he said, read your goals twice a day. Because you got to, remind yourself, keep it in there. All right. So as he grew older, and began to take notice of things around him, right? So his son is growing older. He said, we observed that he had a slight degree of hearing, so he could kind of, hear a little bit. When he reached the age when children usually begin talking, he made no attempt to speak, but we could tell by his actions that he could hear certain sounds slightly, so he could hear. Wow. All right now. That was all I wanted to know. He said, that's all I need. I just need a little bit. That's what God said. That's what the prophet Elijah said to the woman, the widow with the jars. Well, she had the oil, right? He said, what do you have? She said, I have oil. He said, okay, that's all I need. Now you go get the bottles. And now you pour the oils in there and then go sell the oil. All he needed was a little bit. Okay? That's why all you got to do is take the first step in whatever goals that you have in life. And the universe is going to continue to give you the next step and the next step and the next step. Napoleon Hill said, that's all I needed to know. He can hear a little bit. All right, we're going to use that. Okay? So he said, I was convinced that if he could hear even slightly, he might develop still greater hearing capacity. That's another thing in there. Whatever your vision is for your life, your business, whatever it is, your health, whatever. If it starts small, if you got a little bit, it can grow. It can grow. So just know that. Okay? All right, so then something happened which gave him hope. It said it came from an entirely unexpected source. Okay? We bought a Victrola, right? So a certain type of instrument that they had during the time. And when the child heard the music for the first time, he went into ecstasies. He was doing all kind of, and promptly appropriated, right, and took the machine. So the child, so they could tell he heard and felt the music and took the machine. So it said he soon showed a preference for certain records. And among them, It's a Long Way to Tipperary, right? So whatever the song was, right? So they noticed, they observing, so they're like, okay, so they're going to start to, make this something that can grow, right? On one occasion, so he played that piece over and over for almost 2 hours, standing in front of the Victrola, right? And his teeth clamped on the edge of the case. His teeth. They were observing their child. His teeth were clamped on the edge of the case. Why? I just know a little bit because I kind of read a little bit of the story here. Because he was feeling the vibrations. That's why when you get into like manifestation and people talk about reality and creating and all this stuff and how the universe works, to say the universe works in vibration and frequency, energy. It's a vibration. So when the child was listening, right, in his own way, he had his teeth feeling the music and they were observing. So the significance of this self-formed habit of his did not become clear to them until years afterwards, for we had never heard of the principle of bone conduction of sound at that time. Wow, that's deep. So they really observed it. But his bones were feeling the energy and conducting the sound. That's amazing. Shortly after he appropriated, right, and took the machine, I discovered that he could hear me quite clearly when I spoke with my lips touching his bone. So it's a mastoid bone or at the base of his brain. So basically he's observing his child and doing all this stuff. So he said he could hear him more when he touched the area where basically the child could pick up the vibration. So he was using a sense that wasn't just from the ear, actually it's within the ear. Remember, all of the parts that we have resonate from within, right? They go into the ear, but it resonates from within. So he just found another way to go within that same area, basically. I'm not a scientist, right? But this is what we're doing. Okay. These discoveries placed in his possession the necessary media, right, information by which he began to translate into reality his burning desire to help his son develop hearing and speech. So now that he had a practical way of doing it, now he can start to translate that desire that he had for his son to just have, full-blown hearing and everything. But now he had a means to do it. He was starting to learn that. Okay. So you got to have a plan. That's what he's saying. You got to you have the desire, but then eventually the desire has to have a conduit. It has to have a way to express itself in the physical means, because, we're spiritual beings, but we're having a physical experience right now. So he found the way. By that time, he was making, try efforts at speaking certain words. Wow. The outlook was far from encouraging. So when he tried, but it wasn't that encouraging. But I don't know, it seems encouraging from what I'm reading. But desire backed by faith knows no such word as impossible. So he had faith behind that. He said it ain't looked that encouraging because he was trying to talk the child. It wasn't really working, but he the father, he had some ways of figuring out, okay, now we're going to use this vibration and okay, we got to figure that out. Not really saying the words like, but I got faith. But I have faith. So desire, and then he got some faith too. Having determined that he could hear the sound of his voice plainly, he said, I began immediately to transfer to his mind the desire to hear and speak. I soon discovered that the child enjoyed bedtime stories. So I went to work, creating stories designed to develop in him self-reliance, imagination, and a keen desire to hear and to be normal. So he started to program his own child to have the desire to hear and speak more. So he would tell him certain stories that make him want to hear and speak. This is the power that we have to curate our thoughts. You have the power to program yourself. I hope you know that. You have the power to program yourself. You really do. It might take effort, continuity, but we're not letting nobody else just, continue to program us. Now, I will say this, humanity is escaping a lot of that, though it's still, some on social media. But I think people are a lot freer in the mind than we used to be. And it might not, then even in, I don't know, the 80s and 90s, and everything that people watched was on the TV, was on the, you know what I'm saying? It was somebody else's program. Now, yes, with social media, it can be, depending on what you use, you can use it for whatever you want to use it for, right? For some, it depends on what track their mind is on. They can still get into things that may not be the best for them. But for the most part, you turn to what you desire. They still try to program you a little bit, but it's so many more choices now, right? So it's something similar to that. You have the choice and the opportunity to program yourself. And this is what he did for his child. Okay. So he actually created stories. Wow. To develop in him self-reliance, imagination. So he also wanted to develop his imagination and a keen desire to hear and to be normal. And you know what? He said he created them. The books weren't around at the time that he wanted. So he created it. How about that? There was one story in particular, which he emphasized by giving it some new and dramatic coloring each time it was told, right? He said it all fancy and stuff. It was designed to plant in his mind the thought that his affliction was not a liability, but an asset of great value. Despite the fact that all the philosophy I had examined clearly indicated that every adversity brings with it the seed of an equivalent advantage. I must confess, this is what he said as a father, that he had not the slightest idea how this affliction could ever become an asset. He didn't know how. He just said he's just going to just say it's an asset. That's it's gonna turn into something good. He gonna just say it, and that's what it. He didn't know how, but he just said, "Look, this is the stuff he teach. This is what he said. This is stuff I teach. I know every adversity brings with a seed of equivalent advantage, but he was having to deal with this in real time, and he didn't know how, but he just said it. And my goodness, it seemed like it surely did. However, he said, I continue my practice of wrapping that philosophy in bedtime stories. So he kept implanting the vision and the desire in his own child's mind. Do you need to plant a vision in your child's mind? I don't know, a good vision. You know, I tell mine, listen to your affirmations. Even sometimes when they're doing the video games, I'm like, you got your affirmations on? Put that on too. Because we don't, come on now. Start to program your own self and your family in a good way. Put your affirmations on every day. How about that? You can play them low. You can run it all day if you want. I'm just saying, come on now. You don't even have, it don't have to be loud. Depends on what you're doing. It's just in the atmosphere. Start to program your own self and your own reality. Okay? All right, so he didn't have the slightest idea how it was going to ever become an asset, but he just figured he would say it anyway. So however, he said he continued to practice wrapping that philosophy in bedtime stories, hoping the time would come when he would finally have some plan by which the handicap could be made to serve some useful purpose, because he didn't know. So that's another key caveat here. He did not have a plan at first, but that's okay. So that's telling you, even if you don't have a plan for all your desires or this particular goal that you have, that's okay. It's going to come. All you need to know is the first step. That's it. And if you believe it enough and hear it enough and have that desire enough, the plan will come. It builds. Things start to build after a certain time, right? So don't let not, having all the details just scare you off from having the goal in the first place. That's all he's saying. That's all he's saying. And that's not all he's saying, but this is one of the principles that he's saying in this book. Start where you start. And this is what I'm saying. Start where you start. Reason told him plainly that there was no adequate compensation for the lack of ears and natural hearing equipment. Desire backed by faith pushed reason aside and inspired him to carry on. He said, even though everything practical was telling me this is ridiculous for me to even think about this in this, trying to make a positive spin on it, I'm going to push reason aside right now. I'm going to have desire. He's going to have faith, and it inspired him to keep going. That's how big his vision was for his child, for his life, right? How big is your vision for your life, right? As I analyzed the experience in retrospect, I can see now, this is what he said, that his son's faith in me had much to do with the astounding results. Okay. So his faith in him, his child's faith in his own father and his own father's belief had to do with the results that they got. I just heard it recently repeated again. I think this was yesterday as well, the day before. I think it was yesterday. I was watching the video. It said, people rise to your expectations. This was a reminder. People do rise to your expectations. I think it was John C. Maxwell, where I was flipping on social media and I saw a video of him. He said, people rise to your expectations of them. Believe it or not. So if you have low expectations of people are like, oh, you always do that. Or a person's children, have positive expectations of them, because eventually they will rise to those expectations. Have positive expectations of your partner. I mean, if you feel that it's meant to be and all that good stuff, have it, because eventually they will rise to those expectations. If it's, it's possible. Have positive expectations of yourself, because eventually you will rise to those expectations. Okay. So he said his son's success, and we have to read about that, had to do with his faith in his own father, his own belief that he had in him. Okay. He said he did not question anything I told him. And most children are like that anyway, right? With parents. Parents are fallible and all that, but particularly children at a certain age, they just, right, see the stars and all that great stuff when they deal with their parents. Right? So have higher expectations of the people around you in your life. Okay, including yourself, beginning with yourself. All right. He said, he did not question anything I told him. I sold him the idea that he had a distinct advantage over his older brother, and that this advantage will reflect itself in many ways. So he really told him that, listen, child, listen, you might not have no ears that people could see, but listen, that's like a superpower. I'm just saying, he convinced him that, like, he started to believe it. For example, the teachers in school would observe that he had no ears, and because of this, they would show him special attention and treat him with extraordinary kindness. They always did. His mother saw to that by visiting the teachers and arranging with them to give the child the extra attention necessary, right? I sold him the idea, too, that's what he said, that when he became old enough to sell newspapers, his older brother had already become a newspaper merchant, right? He would have a big advantage over his brother, for the reason that people would pay him extra money for his wares, right? Because they could see that he was a bright, industrious boy, despite the fact that he had no ears, right? So he's really convincing him, like, look, this is not a disadvantage. This is an advantage. Okay? So we can borrow that. We can alchemize that attitude, right? Whatever in your life. A person could think, I don't know, they're on Section 8. Let's just say that. And they could think that's a disadvantage. Oh, man, I want to be like a regular. Of course, you should have goals and higher things for yourself. But here it is what I'm saying is, wherever you are, that's where you start, and there is success. There are programs that, because there is Section 8 in the neighborhood, the government is obligated to pay businesses certain wages because there is Section 8 in the neighborhood. Did y'all know that? I just recently learned that, probably a few months ago. It's called Section 3. Look it up. So there are people in a Section 8 neighborhood, or perhaps in Section 8 themselves, because there's a difference, because these businesses are required to pay for other businesses, but you have to look it up, but certain businesses that are in the area that has Section 8. So the person who owns the business does not have to have Section 8 or be under, Section 8, or I believe they could. However it goes, that is an advantage for that person and that business owner in an area that has Section 8 around them. And at first they can look at that as a detriment, because of however they feel about Section 8, or poverty or whatever. I'm just saying, it's all about mindset. But if they know opportunities exist in a certain way, they can see it as an advantage. Okay? Section 3. This is just an example of something that looks like a disadvantage, but it could be an advantage. Section 3 is a provision of the Housing and Urban Development Act of 1968 that aims to ensure employment and economic opportunities that happens with the businesses and things like that generated by HUD financial assistance are directed to low and very low income individuals and businesses. It contributes to stronger communities by promoting economic inclusion, right? And so there are people. There's a woman, I can't think of her name right now. I could probably just look it up. Let's see. Who teaches people how to get Section 3 contracts. So that's why you got to tune into my live. You never know what kind of opportunities you're going to hear. Follow me, all that good stuff, like up the stream. I'm just saying. You just never. So this is something that people can see as a disadvantage at first. Oh, man, Section 8 neighborhood, all these people. But yet don't even realize that there are business opportunities because of that reason. That just brought it to my mind, right? So there are programs. If y'all interested in finding the lady, y'all can DM me. I can get her information to you if y'all want to learn more about that, because I have it on my other. It's another app. I think it's through my Instagram. I follow her, and so yeah. Just using that as an example, right? So he was telling his son, look, man, you might not have no ears that people can see, but this is an advantage because people are going to treat you a certain way. It's all about mindset, right? Opportunities or obstacles, right? Obstacles or opportunities. Obstacles or stepping stones, right? So again, people, one would hope that they wouldn't have to experience certain things. I wish the greatest health, prosperity, blessings, and peace on you and your family, mine and my family, all that good stuff, right? But we're just saying that we don't have to take, and people don't have to take the circumstances in their life that look like a disadvantage as really that it just depends on your mindset. It really does. It really does. So there are people living in Section 8 neighborhoods trying to figure out how they can have more money or whatever the situation is, and they don't even realize that they can form a certain type of business that is structured to get Section 3 contracts from the government. All right. So he said he sold him on the idea that when he was old enough, people would, to sell newspapers, that he would have a big advantage over his brother because people would pay him extra money and all that good stuff, right? And see how he was as hardworking despite the fact of his, his disability, right? His hardship at the time. So we could notice that gradually, this is what he said, that the child's hearing was improving. Wow. Moreover, he had not the slightest tendency to be self-conscious because of his affliction. Like he wasn't, people looking at me funny. No. Because he was programmed so thoroughly since he was a child that, no, I'm cool. I might not be like everybody else, but I'm special. I'm good. I'm cool. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm different. But when he was about 7, he showed the first evidence that our method of servicing his mind was bearing fruit. For several months, he begged for the privilege of selling newspapers, but his mother would not give her consent. She was like, nope, not my baby. He ain't ready. She was afraid that his deafness made it unsafe for him to go out on the street alone. I mean, yeah, it makes sense. Finally, he took matters in his own hands. One afternoon, when he was left at home, it says with the servants, okay, excuse me. That's a vision. He climbed through the kitchen window, shimmy to the ground and set out on his own. So he was determined. Okay, they raised a very determined child. He borrowed 6 cents in capital from a neighborhood shoemaker, invested it into papers. Okay, bought his own papers, sold out, reinvested it, and kept repeating until late in the evening. After balancing, he was 7. Okay. After balancing, his accounts and paying back the 6 cents that he had borrowed, right, from the banker, from his banker. That's what he said. He had a net profit of 42 cents. Now, this was a lot at that time. You could do a lot with that. When we got home that night, or we got home that night, we found him in bed asleep with the money tightly clenched in his hand. So he had the money in his hand asleep. His mother opened his hand, removed the coins, and cried, of all things. Crying over her son's first victory seems so inappropriate. I'm crying. I'm okay. My reaction was the reverse. So I guess she cried in a negative, like, oh my gosh, she's there and whatever. But he laughed. His father laughed. For he knew that his endeavor to plant in his child's mind attitude of faith in himself had been successful. Okay, so the mother was worried, but the father was elated. Okay. All right. His mother saw, we got a little bit more to go in chapter 3, I think a few more pages. So, all right. His mother saw in his first business venture a little deaf boy who had gone out in the streets and risked his life to earn money. I saw, as his father, a brave, ambitious, self-reliant little businessman whose stock in himself had been increased 100% because he had gone into business on his own initiative and had won. Okay. The transaction pleased me because I knew that he had given evidence of a trait of resourcefulness that would go with him all through his life. Later events proved this to be true. When his older brother wanted something, he would lie down on the floor, kick his feet in the air, cry for it, and get it. Oh, wow. When the little deaf boy, quote, wanted something, he would plan a way to earn the money and then buy it for himself. He still follows that plan. Truly, my own son has taught me, this is what he said, that handicaps can be converted into stepping stones on which one may climb toward some worthy goal, unless they are accepted as obstacles and used as alibis, right? So the only way that something is actually, a disadvantage is if it's accepted as defeat, okay? That's the only way, all right? All right. So a little deaf boy, they said, went through the grades, high school, college, without being able to hear his teachers, excepting when they shouted loudly at close range. He did not go to a school for the deaf. We would not permit him to learn the sign language. Wow, they were just like, they refused all that. We were determined that he should live a normal life and associate with normal children, and they stood by that decision, although it cost them many heated debates with school officials. Wow. All right, so they kind of went through it, but they went through it. While he was in high school, he tried an electrical hearing aid, but it was of no value to him, due, we believe, to a condition that was disclosed when the child was 6 by Dr. J. Gordon Wilson of Chicago, when he operated on one side of his child's head and discovered that there was no sign of natural hearing equipment. Okay, so it gets into a lot of details. During his last week in college, 18 years after the operation, something happened which marked the most important turning point of his life. Through what seemed to be mere chance, he came into possession of another electrical hearing device, which was sent to him on a trial, right? He was slow about testing it due to his disappointment with the similar device. So he wasn't so sure that it was going to work, but he still had the belief in himself and the possibility, and we'll see what happened. Finally, he picked the instrument up, more or less carelessly placed it on his head, hooked up the battery, and lo, as if by a stroke of magic, his lifelong desire for normal hearing became a reality. For the first time in his life, he heard practically as well as any person with normal hearing. God moves in mysterious ways, his wonders to perform. Let me correct myself, because Napoleon Hill does talk about God, right? Overjoyed because of the changed world which had been brought to him through his hearing device. He rushed to the telephone. Wow. Called his mother and heard her voice perfectly. The next day, he plainly heard the voices of his professors in class, and for the first time in his life. Previously, he could hear them only when they shouted at short range. He heard the radio. He heard the talking pictures. I know that's right. For the first time in his life, he could converse freely with other people without the necessity of their having to speak loudly. Truly, he had come into possession of a changed world. We had refused to accept nature's error, and by persistent desire, we had induced nature to correct that error through the only practical means available. Now, let me just say this. By the time they reached the success, he was over 18. So, I mean, they endured this for 18 years. At least. So, I mean, that is, you know, clearly an extreme amount of time to, to to wait for anything in terms of like that. Um, but there was there was success right on the other side of that, and so yeah, it just goes to show that just to never give up. I mean, certain things like that when it comes to health and things. I mean, one generally, that's not something that people just give up on, and there's always like hope and stuff for that. But some people, if we talk about business, income, sometimes love, whatever, sometimes people might give up on that a little bit more or a little easier, right? So, but the lesson in this, the alchemy in this, is to continue to know, to continue to believe, and yeah, there is success. Okay. So desire had commenced to pay dividends, but the victory was not yet complete. The boy still had to find a definite and practical way to convert his handicap into an equivalent asset. Hardly realizing the significance of what had already been accomplished, um, but intoxicated with the joy of his newly discovered world of sound, he wrote a letter to the manufacturer of the hearing aid, enthusiastically describing his experience. Something in his letter, something perhaps which was not written on the lines, but back of them, caused the company to invite him to New York. When he arrived, he was escorted through the factory. And while talking with the chief engineer, telling him about his changed world, a hunch, an idea, or an inspiration, call it whatever you will, flashed into his mind. I'm telling y'all, this is how it happens. It's that flash of inspiration that comes to you when the mind is exposed to a certain environment, or when you ask questions in the universe or whatever, when you pray certain things, the idea will come, right? So let's see what happens. So he had a hunch, an idea, an inspiration, right? Flash into his mind. It was this impulse of thought which converted his affliction into an asset. Oh, okay. Now he's about to utilize the issue with the company. That's what it looked like about to happen. Let's see. Destined to pay dividends in both money and happiness to thousands for all time to come. The sum and substance of that impulse of thought was this. It occurred to him, his son, that he might be of help to the millions of deafened people who go through life without the benefit of hearing devices, if he could find a way to tell them the story of his changed world. Then and there, he reached a decision to devote the remainder of his life to rendering useful service to the hard of hearing. Okay. For an entire month, he carried on an intensive research during which he analyzed the entire marketing system of the manufacturer of the hearing device and created ways and means of communicating with the hard of hearing all over the world for the purpose of sharing with them his newly discovered changed world. Wow. When this was done, he put in writing a 2-year plan based upon his findings. When he presented the plan to the company, he was instantly given a position for the purpose of carrying out his ambition. Little did he dream when he went to work that he was destined to bring hope and practical relief to thousands of deafened people who, without his help, would have been doomed forever with deaf mutism. And let me just pause here. This is just to show that, sometimes things happen to people who are strong, who have a purpose to give to the world, to overcome the things that they have gone through, so that they can use their strength, right? Alchemize their strength to help other people. Interesting. So maybe something like that, what happened to Napoleon Hill's child when he was born, happened to a man and a family, like him, right? Who has such a strong, as they say, constitution about his own self, that he programmed his child and turned his child into this great, helper of people who had that same condition. It happened to someone who had the ability to make a great, great, great impact on humanity. Okay. So it's all kind of ways that we could look at things as well. All right. Shortly after he became associated with the manufacturer of his hearing aid, he invited me to attend a class conducted by his company for the purpose of teaching deaf mutes to hear and to speak. I never heard of such a form of education. Therefore, I visited the class, skeptical but hopeful that my time would not be entirely wasted. Here I saw a demonstration which gave me a greatly enlarged vision of what I had done to arouse and keep alive in my son's mind, he said, the desire for normal hearing. He saw deaf mutes actually being taught to hear and to speak through application of the self-same principle he had used. Wow. More than 20 years previously in saving his son from deaf mutism. Wow. Thus, through some strange turn of the wheel of fate, his son, Blair, and him, Napoleon Hill, have destined to aid in correcting deaf mutism for those as yet unborn, because we are the only living human beings, that's what they said, as far as he knew, who has established definitely the fact that deaf mutism can be corrected to the extent of restoring to normal life those who suffer with this affliction. It has been done for one, it will be done for others. Wow. There is no doubt in my mind that Blair would have been a deaf mute all his life if his mother and I had not managed to shape his mind as we did. The doctor who attended his birth told us confidently, the child may never hear or speak. A few weeks ago, Dr. Irving Voorhees, a noted specialist on such cases, examined Blair very thoroughly. He was astounded when he learned how well his son now hears and speaks, and said his examination indicated that theoretically, right, in theory, all things pointing to the boy should not be able to hear at all. Right? Somebody be saying that about you, like, I just don't know how she does it. I don't know how he does it. Because coming from where you came from, going through and experiencing what you went through, you're not supposed to achieve such and such and such. Oh, but God, right? Oh, but the spirit within cannot be limited, okay? All right. All right, so it says, yeah, it was no doubt if they believed the doctors, that would have been their reality, right? But the boy does hear, despite the fact that the x-ray pictures show that there is no opening in the skull. Wow. Whatsoever from where his ears should be to the brain. When I planted in his mind, I got a couple more pages to go. Planted in his mind the desire to hear and talk and live as a normal person, there went with that impulse some strange influence which caused nature to become a bridge builder and span the gulf of silence between his brain and the outer world by some means which the keenest medical specialists have not been able to interpret. It would be a sacrilege for him, right, to even conjecture, right, try to figure out as to how nature performed this miracle. Hell no. Look, let it do what it do. It would be unforgivable if he neglected to tell the world as much as he knew, right, as he knows of the humble part, right, that he assumed in the strange experience. It is his duty and a privilege to say that he believes, it's Napoleon Hill, and not without reason, that nothing is impossible to the person who backs desire with enduring faith. You hear that? Nothing is impossible for a person, to the person who backs desire with enduring faith. Like the faith has to be verily, right? A continuous desire, we call it a burning desire, has devious ways of transmuting itself into the physical equivalent. So it has various ways of becoming physically real, tangible. Blair desired normal hearing. Now he has it. He was born with that handicap, which might easily have sent one with, a less defined desire to the street with a bundle of pencils and a tin cup. Wow. Because they wouldn't have tried, and wow. That handicap now promises to serve as the medium by which he will render useful service to many millions of hard of hearing, also to give him useful employment at adequate financial compensation for the remainder of his life. The little, quote, white lies that he planted in his mind, right? This is when it was the belief, it was the acorn, right? When he was a child, by leading him to believe his affliction will become a great asset, which he could capitalize, has justified itself. So at first, when he said it wasn't, quote, true. Oh, yeah, it's going to be an asset. It's going to turn out to be great use. Come on now, you're going to see. But he kept saying it, and he kept saying it, and he kept saying it, and kept saying it, years and years and years. And eventually, it took root. And that was a long, what they call Chinese bamboo tree now. But it came up. Okay. So they justified itself, those words and those thoughts and those beliefs. So there's nothing right or wrong. That's what he said, which belief plus burning desire cannot make real. So wait a minute now. He said this could work with the wrong stuff too now. Or like something that a person may not want. So that's what we want to put the good desires in. He said there's nothing right or wrong, which belief plus burning desire cannot make real. These qualities are free to everyone. Okay, we'll drink water. Like water. Water should be free to everyone. Well, it is, right? But yeah. Okay. Shout out to Moses West Foundation, who helps to make water free for the people in the world who need it. If I haven't looked at Moses West, look him up. Making water out of air. I was going to say thin air. It's not thin. It's pretty thick with the moisture. Just want to give a shout out to that. Okay. So these qualities are free to everyone, right? Like fresh water. In all my experience in dealing with men and women who had personal problems, he said, I never handle a single case which more definitely demonstrates the power of desire. Wow. Authors sometimes make the mistake of writing of subjects of which they have but superficial or very elementary knowledge. He said this was up close and personal. Like when I tell y'all that I, won $5,000 from a vision board. That was real. It happened to me, right? So I'm not just, teaching or talking about something that I, didn't do. I did something that happened for me, All right. So it said, it has been his good fortune to have had the privilege of testing soundness of the power of desire through the affliction, he said, of his own son. Perhaps it was providential, right? Just meant to be from the universe to happen to him, that the experience came as it did, for surely no one is better prepared than he to serve as an example of what happens when desire is put to the test. If Mother Nature bends to the will of desire, wow, is it logical that mere men can defeat a burning desire? Wait a minute, hold on now, because that's key. I think I want to underline that one too. Napoleon Hill said, if this child was born without the mechanism of hearing, the appearance or the mechanism of hearing, or what they say it was, Mother Nature bent to our reality, because we are part of Mother Nature too, our reality of belief that no, they're not going to, or their reality to it, that they're not going to succumb to that limitation, that something, a person, the way something body was born, that didn't have to limit them either. He said, nothing can stop you. That's basically what he's saying. Nothing can stop you. He said, if Mother Nature didn't stop his child from hearing and having success and all that, no other human being can. That's what he's saying. Strange and imponderable is the power of the human mind. We do not understand the method by which it uses every circumstance, every individual, every physical thing within its reach as a means of transmuting desire into its physical counterpart. Perhaps science will uncover this secret. Okay. So we get to metaphysics and all that. But he said he planted into his son's mind the desire to hear and to speak as any normal person hears and speaks. That desire has now become a reality. He planted in his mind the desire to convert his greatest handicap into his greatest asset. That desire has now come into reality. It has now been realized. The modus operandi, right? His mode of operating by which this astounding result was achieved is not hard to describe. He said it consisted of 3 very definite facts. First, he said he mixed faith, as a little recipe, with desire for normal hearing, which he passed on to his son. Second, he communicated his desire to him in every conceivable way available through persistent and continuous effort over a period of years. And third, he believed me. As this chapter was being completed, the news came. I got a page and a half left in this chapter, okay? We are through chapter 2, and Think and Grow Rich, chapter on desire. So as this chapter was was being completed, the news came of the passing of, says M.E. Schumann Heinck, okay? One short paragraph in the news dispatch gives the clue of this unusual woman's stupendous success as a singer. He says he quotes the paragraph because the clue it contains is none other than desire. Early in her career, M. Schumann Heinck visited the director of the Vienna Court Opera to have him test her voice, but he did not test it. After taking one look at the awkward and poorly dressed girl, he exclaimed none too gently, with such a face and with no personality at all, "How can you ever expect to succeed in opera? My good child, give up the idea. I buy a sewing machine and go to work. You can never be a singer." What? That's what he told her. The director of the Vienna Court Opera. Could you imagine the director of whatever, you're going to or trying to get this opportunity, and they say, "Give it up. You will never." And I'm not trying to put that in the universe because we are not accepting nothing like that. Right? Wow. He said, buy a sewing machine and go to work. You ain't never be a singer. There's nothing wrong with sewing. But that wasn't her desire. She had a gift of singing and voice. So he just went on just the way she looked. Never is a long time. The director of the Vienna Court Opera knew much about the technique of singing. Oh, but he knew little about the power of desire when it assumes the proportion of an obsession. So she was relentless. She was obsessed. If he had known more of that power, he would not have made the mistake of condemning genius without giving it an opportunity. One more page in chapter 3. Several years ago, one of my business associates became ill. He became worse as time went on. And finally, he was taken to the hospital for an operation. Just before he was wheeled into the operating room, Napoleon Hill took a look at him and wondered how anyone as thin and emaciated as he could possibly go through a major operation successfully. So the doctor warned Napoleon that there was little, if any, chance of him ever seeing his friend alive again. But that was a doctor's opinion. Okay, that's what Napoleon Hill said. It was not the opinion of the patient. Just before he was wheeled away, he whispered feebly, "Do not be disturbed, Chief. I will be out of here in a few days." That's what the man said. The attending nurse looked at him with pity, or looked at Napoleon with pity. But the patient did come through safely. And after it was all over, his physician said nothing but his own desire to live saved him. He never would have pulled through if he had not refused to accept the possibility of death. I know that's right. What do you refuse to accept in your life? Right? That's an experience that you don't want to experience. Poverty or whatever. Right? Like, refuse to accept it. Debt, not being able to pay, credit card debt. You know what? Don't accept it. No. It's not going to be your reality. It doesn't have to be a perpetual reality. Okay? Or whatever the issue is, right? Napoleon Hill said, "I believe in the power of desire backed by faith because I've seen this power lift men from lowly beginnings to places of power and wealth. I have seen it rob the grave of its victims." I know that's right. Hey! He said, "I've seen it serve as the medium by which men staged a comeback after having been defeated in 100 different ways." He said he's seen it provide his own son with a normal, happy, successful life, despite nature's having sent him into the world without ears. Whoa, we got a couple more paragraphs to go and we are done with chapter 2, actually. How can one harness and use the power of desire? This has been answered through this and the subsequent chapters of this book. This message is going out to the world at the end of the longest and perhaps the most devastating depression America has ever known, right? That was the time. This book was written, 1937. Okay. It is reasonable to presume that the message may come to the attention of many who have been wounded by depression, those who have lost their fortunes, others who have lost their positions, and great numbers who must reorganize their plans and stage a comeback. To all these, I wish to convey the thought that all achievement, no matter what may be its nature or its purpose, must begin with an intense, burning desire for something definite. Through some strange and powerful principle of mental chemistry, which she has never divulged, nature wraps up in the impulse of strong desire. That something which recognizes no such word as impossible and accepts no such reality as failure. All right, so that's the end of chapter 2. Through some strange and powerful principle of mental chemistry, which she has never divulged, nature wraps up in the impulse of strong desire that something which recognizes no such word as impossible. Of strong desire, there's something that naturally will overcome the word impossible and accepts no such reality as failure. So you got to know that nature is on your side. And you have to have that continuous desire over and over again to achieve, and you will be supported by the universe itself to bring that into fruition. But you have to do something long enough for it to come into reality. It's just like, again, having a baby. Talked about this, maybe another previous episode. You hold it, the vision, long enough for it to become that physical being, right? No wavering back and forth to become the physical being, okay? So this is wonderful, right? The oak sleeps in the acorn, right? So let the seeds become your foundation and keep your dreams, write your dreams, follow the plans, right? Listen to this book, Think and Grow Rich. Read it, reread it, right? Write it down, write down your notes. Look at the episodes that we have of the replay. I have it on Wealth with Tia on YouTube. You can check out our other episodes. And yeah, let's go. So really quick, chapter 3 is about faith, visualization of, and belief in attainment of desire. Okay, so it's the second step towards which you got to have desire, and then he's going to go into faith. So that's, Lord willing, the next time we convene with the book Think and Grow Rich. And I also just really quickly want to go over something that can help you kind of solidify your reality. And it's called drawing your future or drawing your reality. I'm not going to go into it too much because we've been on here for 2 hours and 37 minutes. Thank you for, and we had some people that were on a long time, and people that are just coming through. I'm not sure how long the people are in the hallway over here on TikTok. So we're finishing it up. I just want to go over a little bit of how you can make this fun, this visualization stuff. I'm gonna show some couple things I have. You can kind of make it fun, I just did this one and we'll see. So it's about drawing your reality. You can make it really simple, really a little more complex, colorful. This is really simple. So I have $5,000. Let's see, because I have this. I'm not sure how it'll show up on here. Hold on. All right, so I kind of got it here. I'm not sure. Yeah, you can kind of see my paper, but all right, so I'll explain. So it says $5,000 I receive every month from working from home, right? I receive every month working from home $5,000. And then I have like January to December, 5,000. I have a little bit more in December. Easy money comes to me on autopilot, you know, say virtually autopilot, whatever. I enjoy my work. I love my life. I love it. I have some, you know, things, and I have a picture of myself. So if you draw your reality, it helps to, let's see, draw a representative of yourself in the picture. And like I said, like I did with my vision board, I actually had a picture of myself. I also have a relationship one. I'll show it really quick. It really is crass. I'm actually an artist, but I just did this like really quickly. It's my little heart and myself and my partner, you know, there. Uh, you know, my handsome man, you know, he loves me. We're so happy together. I love him, you know, all these, and I have all these words and, you know, things around it I love to achieve. And I have another one for a luxury home. You know, it has my family in there and all that good stuff. So drawing your reality is supposed to be a kind of a poignant and maybe a quicker way to really gain your goals or attain your goals, and to kind of make them fun. And again, because you know, if you study these types of things about manifestation, people talk about, you know, when you, I just see 222 on the clock. I know that's right. I wanted to read about 4-4, so we'll do that before I finish off. Because when we started, the chapter was on page 44, and I was going to read it, and I didn't get to it. So, but yeah, they talk about in these ways that, you know, put your emotion into when you write down your goals, right? But sometimes that's a little difficult people to do, and you know, I don't know. When you're drawing something, you get into it. You get into all the details. You know, they say you put color into it and do all that. Get back to like when you were a child. So some people say they used this and it was actually pretty successful. And yeah, I'm just gonna check that out for a moment. Hold on. Okay. So this guy has a little accent. So hopefully it won't be too hard to catch some of the things he says. If I have to pause and go into it, I will. He's about to say humans may appear to exist, but they really, really do not. All right, let's get into this. The title of this video is called "Drawing My Future Changed My Life Extremely." Okay. All right, let's see what he has to say.
Humans may appear to exist in the physical world, but in reality, we all live as conscious beings. The physical reality, the space and time, all exist within consciousness.
All right, so he's saying we may appear to be physical, but that's only an illusion. And I actually happen to know that to be true, because like I said earlier in the live, I actually had a vision that everything is God. And I know in real time that the separation of human beings or whatever it is an actual illusion, and that human beings can be moved around like a joystick, if you will, in real time, remotely by others. And we do it all the time. It's really a thing. And it's you know, it's so interesting. I mean, I guess you can't talk about it with everybody. You know, they might be like the Holy Hills friend, you know, like, okay, you're interested. But yeah, this is not just woo-woo, you know, so-called pseudoscience stuff. This entire reality that we're living as human beings is an illusion that God is experiencing in a dream as us. But it's so vivid. It feels, you know, it's real, but it feels like it's supposed to feel, you know, tactile. But, you know, if you know anything about science, you know that when you touch a certain point, it registers to the brain. That's where we're feeling everything. We have the appearance that we were feeling it at a certain point, but it's really, I'm feeling this with my brain. And everything goes back to the conscious, or to the one main brain, which is God, which is source, having an experience as us, right? So this man is saying, look, all exists within consciousness, right? All exists. Let me see if y'all can see this. All exists. I got that. Okay, a little bit. Some words on the screen. But all exists within consciousness. Just like the appearance of anything when this effect is on. It's like it's real, but is it really? You know what I mean? Everything exists within your mind. And then it becomes a, quote, physical reality. But even physical reality is still spiritual. But that's another video. All right, so this is what he's saying.
And when consciousness disappears, everything within it also vanished. In fact, the physical world we perceive is actually empty.
He's saying the physical world we perceive is actually empty. I'm going to take it to 10:45 in the video. And just check out the video for yourself. It's really very interesting. He talked about how he drew his reality. But let's go into, hold on. He's going to go to a little commercial real quick. And we're gonna listen to Grant Cardone. And Grant Cardone did something very similar. I didn't know that. I mean, I know about, like I said, vision boards and stuff like that, but I didn't realize people were actually, like drawing these things out, like pictures. I just didn't realize that. How did I miss that? I'm an artist. All right. Let me see. He's okay. All right, let's listen to Grant for a moment. Grant was talking a little bit. Let's see.
Ask me about, do you do vision boards? How often do you write your goals down? How do you actualize things? I've definitely done vision boards where I literally lay out my whole life on a piece of paper. My family, even down to the animals I wanted in my life, the friends I wanted in my life, the money, the companies, what the customers look like.
He said, what the customer, he's about to say, I can only play it a certain, because we don't want to, copyright, all that stuff is all good, right? I got to kind of break it up a little bit. But he is saying that he's going to say how he drew them out, though, right? So, but he planned it all out in his mind first, right? Because why? Like the man said in the beginning, not everything starts in the visual. He's saying more than that. He's saying that that's where everything really exists, right? That's where everything really exists, in the mind. That we may look real and physical and all that, but everything is happening in the mind, right? There are some schools of thought when you get into metaphysics and stuff, all is mind, right? All is God's mind. That's really that's the part that's missing. All is God's mind, really. Having an experience as all of us. That's what's really happening, right? But us as co-creators with the source that we came from can reach back into that creative aspect of source and also create and co-create, and drawing pictures out, not just cutting them out like I did and sticking them up on, from things that are already drawn, but actually physically drawing and writing them out, apparently is a great way to bring about reality. Okay. So we're going to do a little bit more of this, and then we're going to end the live, and I'll see y'all next time. All right now, as we thinking that we growing rich. Okay. All right.
Or even on my vision board. I drew out 20 apartments.
So he said he drew them out. He drew out 20 apartments.
And I had on there everything that I would write out, I would draw out. So it was.
He said everything that I would write out, I would draw out. Everything. Again, this video is called "Drawing My Future Changed My Life Extremely." Get this video and just check it out by the artist, the author. Let me see, what's his name? Min Pak. Okay. But he has a little clip with Grant Cardone, and another person that works with Grant Cardone did something similar. He said, everything I would write out, I would draw out. All right, hold on. I want to write that down. Everything I would write out, I would draw out. Interesting. It's interesting because why? Part of the reason, the mind works in pictures. And I know, like I said, I know you hear about the vision board stuff, and all that good stuff. I was talking about that. But part of what I did was I literally took a pen and put zeros on there. And I actually kind of didn't think that would work. I was just like, well, I mean, I'm writing it on there. I was thinking that was a little, I say weird to do, but it wouldn't. I didn't think the universe would receive the little zeros I put on there as readily as it would receive the images that were already printed on there, if that makes sense. So, but maybe I added more by me drawing them. I mean, putting, my own pen to paper and my energy. Maybe it gave it more energy. I don't know. But it came true. All right. So he said everything he would write out, he would draw out.
It's like I wanted to own 20 apartments in Southern California. At the time, I had never bought an apartment building, and I wanted to earn 12% on my investment.
So at the time, he never owned any apartment buildings. So this was his vision. Now, this is what he said. He said, so I literally drew out 20 units. I'm going to show that, y'all, before he says it. See that? He literally drew it out. I showed him on YouTube because the way the effects is on here, it doesn't really show it on this one. He said, I literally drew out 20 units.
So I literally drew out 20 units, 20 plus a little part of one. So I'm visualizing. I'm taking my ideas out of my mind and putting them on paper.
Okay. Take the ideas out of your mind and put them on paper. Okay. So I'm not going to play too much of this, but I played enough there. You can check out the video yourself. I have a link on the recorded version of this episode as well at Wealth with Tia on YouTube. And we're coming up on almost 3 hours of this live. I appreciate y'all. About 2:33 p.m. And I think we started a little after 11. Yeah. And so anyway, just I appreciate you. Just continue to, be on your journey to growing, thinking and growing rich. Get the book and listen to it, read it, study it, be consistent and know that, your dreams are possible. I know it sounds so cliche, but that they are. And the person that we studied in this story, in this portion of chapter 2 of Desire, Think and Grow Rich, was Napoleon Hill's own son who overcame what was, considered to be a handicap of epic proportions to go to, yes, he utilized, an apparatus to hear, but he changed his life and the life of many other people who dealt with the issue that he was dealing with. And I don't know, we hardly even hear about that, issue now with all these inventions we have and things like that, so what is your dream? What is your vision? Start to write it down and start to make the small steps toward your goal, right? What's the first thing that you can do toward your actual goal? Start to do that, right? Is it something you need to study? A course you need to purchase? A video you need to watch? Something that you need to, a video that you need to make? A picture you need to draw, right? May the Most High bless you. May the Most High bless you and keep you. May the Most High make his and her face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May you be blessed and may you have peace, health, and safety in your family for all you and yours. Myself as well. All right. Blessings and peace. All right. So we're ending the live stream on YouTube.